Have you ever been blindsided by someone you trusted with your whole heart? I have. And let me tell you, nothing hits harder than realizing your best friend, the one you shared your secrets, dreams, and late-night tears with, might just be the person holding the knife. Brutal, right? But here's the kicker. Sometimes enemies are more reliable than friends. Sounds twisted? Stick with me and I'll explain. The thin line between loyalty and jealousy. Let's be real. Jealousy is a quiet killer. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in when you least expect it. I had a friend once who I thought was ride or die. We grew up together, laughed till our stomachs hurt, and always had each other's backs, or so I thought. But the moment life started going a little better for me, things got weird. I landed a good job, started earning more, and suddenly my wins became his headaches. At first it was subtle, the backhanded compliments, the jokes that cut too deep. But then it escalated. He started undermining me in front of others, leaking personal stuff I'd shared, and even sabotaging opportunities behind my back. Here's the hard truth. The closer someone is, the more they see your vulnerabilities. And while a real friend will celebrate your wins, others can't help but compare themselves to you. They'll smile while silently wishing for your downfall. Your success feels like their failure, and that's a dangerous mindset to have lurking in your corner. Enemies, though, they don't pretend to clap for you. They don't fake loyalty. They're upfront with their intentions. Weirdly enough, you know where you stand with them. Friends, not always. Friends know your weaknesses. Enemies know your strengths. Here's a bitter pill to swallow. The people closest to you know exactly how to hurt you. They know your soft spots, your fears, your failures. And when things go south, they have ammo. Take a messy fallout I had with another close friend. We had a stupid argument, but instead of moving on, she decided to pull out every insecurity I'd ever confided in her. "You've always been so desperate for validation," she said. That hit like a punch to the gut. And the worst part? She wasn't wrong. Friends have access to the most vulnerable parts of you. And when trust breaks, that information becomes a weapon. But enemies, they don't know the raw, unfiltered version of you. They only see the surface, your strength, your success, your ability to keep moving forward. In fact, enemies often respect you for those things. Their criticism isn't personal, it's strategic. This doesn't mean enemies are saints, but there's something oddly reliable about someone who doesn't mask their intentions. They challenge you to stay sharp, to play smarter, and sometimes that's the push you need. Here's the wild part about enemies. They can become your biggest allies. It's counterintuitive, I know. But think about it. Your enemy isn't emotionally tied to you. They don't act out of jealousy or hurt. They act out of strategy. And that's something you can work with. In history, some of the greatest alliances were forged between sworn enemies. Take Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals approach. He surrounded himself with people who didn't like him because he knew their strengths outweighed their grudges. I've had this happen in my own life. There was this guy at work who couldn't stand me. He'd constantly challenge my ideas, pick apart my work, and make every meeting a battle. At first I hated it. But then I realized something. He wasn't trying to destroy me, he was pushing me to be better. Once I stopped seeing him as an enemy and started listening to his critiques, we actually became an unstoppable team. Your enemies don't sugarcoat things. They're blunt, sometimes brutally so. But that honesty can be valuable. Unlike some friends who might let you drift into failure because they don't want to hurt your feelings, enemies force you to confront your flaws head on. Look, I'm not saying ditch your friends or start cozying up to your enemies, but if there's one thing Law 2 teaches us, it's this. Trust should be earned, not assumed. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. And just because someone opposes you doesn't mean they're out to destroy you. It's a harsh lesson, but life isn't black and white. Loyalty and betrayal exist on the same spectrum, and it's up to you to navigate those shades of gray. So next time you find yourself blindly trusting a friend or dismissing an enemy, remember this. The line between friend and foe is thinner than you think. Now, let me ask you, who's standing beside you? And more importantly, who's holding the knife?